Independent Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We are located on the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. Today is Wednesday, November 8th, 2017, and your radio hosts today are Marty and Robert. We will be reading the news for today's edition of the Fayetteville Observer. Your weather today will be mostly cloudy with a shower. It's cooler with a high of 53 and a low of 46. Tomorrow there will be a mist in the morning. Otherwise it will be mostly cloudy with a high of 57 and a low of 41. Friday it will be cool with brilliant sunshine. The high will be 59, the low 30. Saturday will be mostly sunny and cooler with a high of 52 and a low of 33. And Sunday will be warmer with a little rain. The high will be 61. The low 43. Stuck in the 50s. Break out the sweaters. If you prefer sunny skies, just stay indoors for the next couple of days. Overcast skies with occasional light rain will cloak the Cape Fear region, locking temperatures in the low 50s in Fayetteville. Follow Chick Jacobs online at FO_weather on Twitter. Today in history. Today is Wednesday, November 8th, the 312th day of 2017. There are 53 days left in the year. Today's highlight: on November 8th, 2016, Republican Donald Trump was elected America's 45th president, defeating Democrat Hillary Clinton in an astonishing victory for a celebrity businessman and political novice. Republicans kept their majorities in the Senate and House. In 1889, Montana became the 41st state. In 1892, former President Cleveland defeated incumbent Benjamin Harrison, becoming the first and to date only chief executive to win non-consecutive terms to the White House. In 1923, Adolf Hitler launched his first attempt at seizing power in Germany with a failed coup in Munich that came to be known as the Beerhof-Putsch. In 1932, New York Democratic Governor Franklin D. Roosevelt defeated incumbent Republican Herbert Hoover for the presidency. In 1942, Operation Torch, resulting in an Allied victory, began during World War II as U.S. and British forces landed in French North Africa. In 1950, during the Korean War, the first jet plane battle took place as U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Russell J. Brown shot down a North Korean MiG-15. In 1960, Massachusetts Senator John F. Kennedy defeated Vice President Richard M. Nixon for the presidency. And in 1987, 11 people were killed when an Irish Republican Army bomb exploded as crowds gathered in Enniskillen, Northern Ireland, for a ceremony honoring Britain's war dead. Birthdays today for our listeners. We'd like to wish a happy birthday to Thomas E. Bass, Diane Davis, and Clarence Sims. So happy birthday to Thomas, Diane, and Clarence. Actor Elaine Delon is 82. Singer-actress Bonnie Bramlett is 73. Singer Bonnie Ray is 68. TV personality Mary Hart is 67. Actress Alfred Woodard is 65. Singer-songwriter Ricky Lee Jones is 63. Nobel Prize-winning author Kazuo Ishiguro is 63. Chef and TV personality Gordon Ramsay is 51. Actress Courtney Thorne-Smith is 50. Actress Parker Posey is 49. Actress Gretchen Mol is 44. ABC News anchor David Muir is 44. Actor Matthew Rice is 43. Actress Tara Reid is 42. Country singer Bucky Covington is 40. Actress Dania Ramirez is 38. Actress Azura Skahan is 36. Actor Chris Rankin is 34. Actress Jessica Lowndes is 29. And country singer Lauren Elena is 23.
Okay, and my turn?
Yes.
Well, here's something I haven't heard about. Here's a picture of Vice President Pence. His wife Karen speaks to residents after the Hurricane Harvey on August 31st during a visit to the First Baptist Church in Rockport, Texas. It shows that the church is quite damaged. Pardon me. When disaster strikes, houses of worship are often on the front lines, feeding and sheltering victims. Yet churches, synagogues, and mosques are routinely denied aid by the Federal Emergency Management Agency when it comes time to repair or rebuild their damaged sanctuaries. Well, I haven't even started this article, but I would certainly recommend that churches have disaster insurance. Pressure is mounting to change that after this year's series of devastating hurricane damaged scores of churches in Texas, Florida, and Puerto Rico. FEMA is rethinking its policies in the face of a federal lawsuit scheduled for a hearing Tuesday by 3 Texas churches hit by Hurricane Harvey. President Donald Trump has signaled his support via Twitter for the religious institutions. At the same time, several members of Congress have revived legislation first proposed after 2012's Hurricane Sandy that would force FEMA to pay for repairs of places of worship. The debate centers on 2 key questions. Does providing such aid violate the First Amendment, separation of church and state? Sounds like it, doesn't it? Or is it infringement on the First Amendment right to free exercise of religion to deny churches the same aid available to numerous other nonprofit organizations, such as libraries, zoos, and homeless shelters? It seems like the only reason churches are excluded is because they're churches, and it just seems discriminatory to me, said Bruce Frazier, pastor of Rockport First Assembly of God Church, which is part of the lawsuit. Religious entities already can receive some government help in disasters. They can be reimbursed by local governments for shelter-need activities and can receive U.S. Small Business Administration loans to repair their buildings. FEMA grants are available to religiously affiliated schools, healthcare providers, and nursing homes, and FEMA can also provide money to repair church-run facilities that function like community centers. That's good, but only if less than half the space are used as for religious purposes. Over the past 5 years, FEMA has authorized a net of $113 million for about 500 religiously affiliated entities such as schools, medical clinics, and community centers after hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and other disasters, according to an AP analysis of data made public as part of the lawsuit. But FEMA hasn't supplied money to repair sanctuaries, and its 50% rule excludes many other type of church facilities. It is the faith community that responds so robustly to the need, and then to say, tough luck, we're not going to help you put your own facility back together is wrong, said Representative Christopher Smith, a New Jersey Republican, sponsoring the bill that would change the policy. Not everyone shares that view, noting constitutional concerns. Well, I could say that many years ago, I read about a church that had to be repaired, actually rebuilt. And I was on my way to take money to the church because they were accepting money by drive-through people in their parking lot when I heard that the church, which was totally destroyed, had no insurance. And I decided that would not be a good use of my money because anybody would know. At least one pastor or one parishioner should have known that a church must have insurance and not expect all of the people in the United States to share in their burden of financial rebuilding.
Daybreak, need to know. Cape Fear Botanical Garden. Cape Fear Botanical Garden will honor the veteran community with free admission for veterans and active duty service members on Saturday. Activities will be from noon to 5 p.m. and will include music, food trucks, crafts, games, and more. The garden's cash bar will be open for craft beer and wine purchases. Cape Fear Botanical Garden is at 536 Northeastern Boulevard. Vietnam Moving Wall. The half-size replica of the Vietnam Wall will be on display on the parade field of the Airborne and Special Operations Museum Thursday through November 12th. The torchlight ceremony takes place at 6:30 p.m. Thursday. Flags to honor veterans will be flown on the parade field Friday through November 20th. They can be purchased from the museum for $5. For more information, call 643-2778 or go to shop.asomf.org. The museum is at 100 Bragg Boulevard. 19 Days Campaign. The Cumberland County Community Coalition for the Prevention of Child Sexual Abuse, in conjunction with the Child Advocacy Center, will show a documentary Thursday as part of the 19 Days of Child Abuse Prevention campaign, which continues through November 19th. The film Resilience will be shown at 9:30 a.m. at the Kiwanis Recreation Center on 352 Devers Street. There is no fee to see the documentary. Hurricane relief. Latino Community Connects is hosting an event Sunday from 1 to 7 p.m. at Festival Park to collect supplies and money for hurricane relief efforts in Puerto Rico and Mexico. The event will feature music, food, and children's activities. People are asked to bring donations of canned goods, rice, toiletries, and money.
Okay, I'm going to read the big news now today for Fayetteville. If you come across any crime, hand it to me, because I like to read the crime all at once and get it over with. Here's our big news in Fayetteville, and a wonderful picture of Mitch Colvin and his daughter Maya arrived at the Crown Ballroom where election results were on display. And not only did Mr. Colvin win, he won with a big majority. These days, 59% is a big majority. So if you didn't hear it last night, which I did not, here is the article in the newspaper by Monica Venditwoli. The crowd at the Crown Ballroom began chanting Mitch, Mitch, Mitch around 9:15 p.m. when it became apparent that Mitch Colvin would be Fayetteville's next mayor. Dozens of people rushed over to embrace the two-term councilman. After one of the most intense and partisan mayoral races in memory, Colvin finished Tuesday with 59.1% of votes to unseat two-term incumbent Ned Robertson. Colvin received 13,396 votes, while Robertson ended the night with 9,218 votes, according to unofficial results. Colvin, 44, grew up in Fayetteville and is president of the Colvin Funeral Home. He was first elected to the council in 2013 and became mayor pro tem in 2015. He credited his win to God, family, friends, and running a clean campaign. The citizens really stepped up in a big way today. They'd rather see us work together, Colvin said. We are one city. And I think that would be the best way to help Fayetteville. It's definitely to be one city. He said his first priority will be improving relations with other local governing bodies, such as the Cumberland County Board of Ed Commissioners and the Board of Education. He will lead a council with 4 new members, 2 of whom are new to public office. I'm glad to hear that, too. Political consultant Andrew Porter called Colvin's win a strong message from the residents of Fayetteville. It is a clear mandate from the people of Fayetteville that they want new leadership and that negative politics have no place in our local political system, Porter said. Robertson's campaign sent mailers and posted on social media about Colvin's misdemeanor convictions in the early 1990s and regulatory violations regarding his funeral business. I didn't like that. Municipal races are nonpartisan, but this election quickly turned otherwise after Democrat Roy Cooper endorsed Colvin at a fundraiser. The state Republican Party attacked Cooper and Colvin's record and gave his support to Robertson. Tom Perez, Democratic National Committee Chairman, weighed in Tuesday night through a news release on the Fayetteville-Charlotte mayoral races. Vi Lyles won in Charlotte. The DNC was proud to partner with the North Carolina Democrat Party to support these races. Vi's and Mitch's victories are proof that as long as we lead with our values and keep organizing, we can win from the school board to the Oval Office. Porter said he believes this was the most heated Fayetteville race since Tony Schiavone beat incumbent Mayor Marshall Pitts Jr. in 2005. Schiavone's win came after Pitts oversaw the Big Bang annexation, when 40,000 people in western Cumberland County were brought into the city limits against their will, of course, because they knew it would be years. I always said they'll die before they get the services, and they did. Robertson disputed the idea that this year's election was more contentious than in past years. Mayoral races in the past have always been hard races. Robertson was a member of City Council from '89 to '95 and again from '99 to 2011. He became mayor in 2013. Robertson expressed thanks to his volunteers. He also offered to help make the change between him and Colvin a smooth one. If he wants my help during the transition, I'm here to help, he said. There were 25,276 ballots cast in Cumberland County and 153,472 eligible voters, meaning a voter turnout of 16.47%. Elections Director Terry Robertson said the turnout was good for municipal elections and similar to previous years. It's extremely sad, though, heartbreaking that people won't go out and vote. And here's a picture, a great big color picture here of Swan Davis celebrates for Mitch Colvin at the Crown Ballroom, where the results of the mayoral and city council races were viewed by a large group of voters on Tuesday. And congratulations to Mayor Colvin. And I wish we wouldn't be partisan, because we'll have a better Fayetteville without being partisan.
Warner wins re-election as Hope Mills mayor. Hope Mills. Jackie Warner easily won re-election to a fourth term as town mayor Tuesday. Warner bested challenger Keith Boland 771 to 319. According to unofficial returns, there were 24 write-in votes. On the 5-member board of commissioners, the winners were Mike Mitchell, Meg Larson, Jerry Legge, Pat Edwards, and Jesse Bellflowers. Mitchell had 670 votes, Larson had 652, Legge had 582, Edwards had 581, and Bellflowers had 506. Legge and Edwards were incumbents. Losing a bid for re-election was two-term Commissioner Brian Marley, who had 474 votes. Also falling short were newcomer Kenwanda McCrae with 460 votes, and former Commissioner Tonzi Collins with 388 votes. Former Mayor Pro Tem Bob Gorman, who died Saturday, had 296 votes, and there were 40 write-in votes. Warner, first elected mayor in 2011, said she looks forward to working with the new board. It's been a long day and it's been a busy day, but I'm so excited that the citizens of Hope Mills decided to vote for me for another 2 years in office, Warner said. I'm pleased and very happy. Warner said the first item on the new board's agenda will be to get organized and get the new members oriented on the town's business. The swearing-in is scheduled for December 4th, Warner said. Warner noted that all 3 new members have long been involved with town business. Mitchell is a former mayor pro tem, Bellflowers is chairman of the Town Lake Advisory Committee, and Larson is a regular at board meetings. It's not like they don't have any experience, Warner said. I think it's going to be a good board. Bowen, who also lost to Warner in the 2015 mayor's race, expressed disappointment that the turnout wasn't bigger. We see the town wants change. I got 30% of the town to vote for me, Bowen said. The town's stuck in the mud. The same people vote every time. With Gorman's death, Legge, about to start his 7th term, will be the longest-serving member of the board. He thanked the town's voters for putting their trust in him again and paid tribute to his late colleague. It's going to seem funny sitting up there without Bob Gorman, Legge said. He was a true gentleman. Going into Tuesday's election, there were 2 vacancies on the Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Edwin Deaver died in December.
Now that I've had a peek there, everything today, almost everything today, is about the local elections. That's not going to be very interesting, since most people don't vote. It's going to be grim. Here we go with nations in brief. However, here's something from around the world, around the nations. The Bloomfield, New Jersey school websites hacked to show pro-ISIS message. Oh my, hackers temporarily redirected people looking for hundreds of local school web pages across the U.S. to a video in support of Islamic State group. The FBI is trying to determine who was behind the hack, which hijacked school websites in Tucson, Arizona, Newton, Connecticut, Gloucester County, Virginia, Bloomfield, New Jersey. The Bloomfield School District said their website displayed the ISIS video for about 2 hours before it was taken down. Well, that's inexcusable. School Desk, the Atlantic-based company that maintains the site, said in a statement that technicians discovered a small file was injected into the root of one of its websites. They redirected approximately 800 school and district web pages to a YouTube containing an audible Arabic message, unknown writing, and a picture of Saddam Hussein. Louisville, Kentucky. Friend says Paul does not know what prompted attack. U.S. Senator Rand Paul does not know why a longtime neighbor tackled him in his yard and broke 5 of his ribs, sidelining him from the Senate, a close friend of the lawmaker said. Rob Porter, who says he's known Paul for 20 years, visited the senator on Saturday just one day after the attack. He said Paul was mowing his yard and had stopped to remove a limb when 59-year-old Renee Butcher, Paul's neighbor for 17 years, tackled him from behind, slamming him to the ground. Porter said Paul was wearing ear protection and did not hear Butcher coming. State College, Pennsylvania. Ex-assistant coach ends lawsuit against PSU. A former Penn State assistant football coach has ended his defamation and whistleblower lawsuit against the university. Court records show that Mike McQuarrie's attorney filed for the lawsuit to be discontinued and ended with prejudice Friday, meaning the lawsuit cannot be brought back to court. McQuarrie filed his lawsuit against the university in 2012 after he lost his job following the firing of former head coach Joe Paterno. He later testified during the child sex abuse case against the school's former defensive football coach Jerry Sandusky. McQuarrie was awarded more than $12 million last year after his civil suit trial.
Texas massacre seized on by both sides in gun debate by Lisa Marie Payne and Martha Belial, the Associated Press. Gun rights supporters have seized on the Texas church massacre as proof of the well-worn saying that the best answer to a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Gun control advocates, meanwhile, say the tragedy shows once more that it is too easy to get a weapon in the U.S. To no one's surprise, many Americans on opposite sides of the gun debate are using the latest mass shooting to reaffirm their opinions about firearms, drawing very different lessons from the rampage that left 26 people dead. The bloodbath is proving to have elements both sides of the gun debate can use. Dozens were killed, from babies to the elderly. The slaughter took place in a house of worship. The killer had a history of domestic violence that legally should have prevented him from buying his guns. And a National Rifle Association member pulled out his own rifle and wounded the killer, helping to end the danger. Both sides are following the respective scripts that we have seen many times before, said Robert Spitzer, chairman of political science at the State University of New York at Cortland, and an expert on firearms and Second Amendment issues. On Sunday, Devin Patrick Kelly, 26, traveled to a Baptist church in Sutherland Springs and opened fire with a Ruger AR rifle with a 30-round magazine, going from aisle to aisle as he shot parishioners. He killed himself after being shot and chased down by a church neighbor. Kelly was able to buy the rifle and 3 other weapons, even though the former Air Force man was convicted at a court-martial of choking his wife and cracking her son's skull, and was given a bad conduct discharge in 2014. It turned out the Air Force did not submit his criminal history to the FBI database that is used to conduct background checks for gun shops. President Donald Trump, a longtime supporter of the gun lobby, and the first president since Ronald Reagan to address the NRA, said the attack was the work of a mentally ill man. He said that rather than use the shooting as justification to restrict access to firearms, it should be seen as a shining example of the benefits of gun ownership. If the neighbor who confronted the gunman hadn't had a rifle, Trump said instead of having 26 dead, he would have had hundreds more dead. That thought resonated with gun owners around the country. There's an old saying, the best answer for a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, said Tiffany Teasdale Causer, owner of Linwood Gun and Ammunition in Linwood, Washington. Former Special Forces Colonel Jim Patterson in San Antonio said, an armed society is a polite society. I get the emotional argument, let's ban all guns, but you're imposing a law on people who disobey the law to begin with, he said. We are free men and women, and we control our destiny. When seconds count, the police are minutes away. What do you do in those minutes? Do you hide under a table, or do you retain your right to protect yourself? But Stephanie Irvin of Civic Ventures, an advocacy group in Seattle, said having more guns in public settings, such as stadiums, is a recipe for tragedy and increases the risk of something bad happening. The problem of mass shootings won't be solved by grandmas bringing guns to church in their handbags, she said. It will be resolved by introducing and passing more laws that keep people from accessing firearms in a moment of crisis. Since Trump's election, gun rights advocates are feeling emboldened for the first time in nearly a decade while gun control activists fear the unraveling of restrictions on firearms. At the top of the gun rights agenda is winning passage in Congress of national reciprocity, which would allow concealed carry gun permits issued in one state to be valid in all others. The gun lobby also wants an easing of restrictions on silencers. With each mass shooting, gun control advocates have seized on the events to point to what they see as failings or loopholes in the law. When a gunman in Las Vegas slaughtered 58 people last month in the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history, there was talk of outlawing bump stocks, the device he used to enable his semi-automatic rifles to fire like fully automatic weapons. For Sandy Phillips, each mass shooting brings back memories of when her daughter was killed in the 2012 movie theater attack in Aurora, Colorado that left 12 people dead. Phillips, a gun owner who lives in Texas, bristles at the good guy with a gun argument. In a Texas rampage, they didn't even succeed in killing him. He killed himself, Phillips said. Bottom line is people are killing people with guns, and they're killing them in large numbers because we have easy access to guns. And there's a picture where a woman kneels in prayer at a makeshift memorial for the First Baptist Church shooting victims Tuesday in Sutherland Springs, Texas.
Well, it's very difficult, isn't it? It's just terribly difficult to decide. Actually, it's not in our hands, but we could never go to church. That would solve it. We could never go to a stadium or a movie. That would certainly stop the people dying in those areas. Never go to a restaurant. But of course, that's a ludicrous idea. If somebody was shooting at me, a deranged person, I would be happy to have the man at the next table take out his gun and save our lives. Well, here's churches offered training to deal with gunmen. Rayford. The Hope County Sheriff's Office is organizing a seminar for local churches on what to do if a gunman walks into the sanctuary. The Church Security Update Training is November 19 at East Hope Middle School from 1:30 to 3 p.m. It is open to pastors, church leaders, and members. Our goal is to address any concerns and answer questions related to church security staff carrying guns during worship, to ensure that pastors and security staff are prepared for the unexpected in the event a gunman opens fire during service. A Sheriff's Office news release said, the training comes in the way of Sunday's killing of 26 people at a small church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. For more information about the training, call 910-875. I'll start over. 910-875-0253 or 910-875-5111. I think everybody should send a small amount of money to the church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. If everybody sent them a few dollars, it would go a long way toward helping them now that half of their parishioners have been shot and killed by a deranged man. I don't know why somebody hasn't decided to do that.
Meet and greet. Vietnam veterans come together in Fayetteville. Vernon Jacks walked into the small room at the Museum of the Cape Fear and instantly took over the space, moving from person to person and shaking hands. Wearing an Army hat and a Vietnam veteran shirt that read, "Nobody wanted to be there, but we went anyway," Jacks eventually made his way to a seat next to two other veterans, Otis Curry and William Jordan. The three Fayetteville men, all Vietnam veterans, quickly jumped into the nature of their service, where they served in Vietnam, what dangers they faced, and what life was like for them decades ago. Soon the veterans were joined by others at the museum on Arsenal Avenue, attending a special meet and greet as part of the week's Heroes Homecoming events leading up to Veterans Day. More than 24 people attended the event, billed as an opportunity to learn firsthand from Vietnam veterans and thank them for their service. Jack said Fayetteville, in the shadow of the nation's largest military installation at Fort Bragg, was one of the first communities to embrace its Vietnam veterans. Many of those veterans, himself included, wouldn't even embrace their service for decades after the war. Jacks said he served in Vietnam with the Army from 1968 to 1969, but never spoke a word about that service to his family until 2005. Veterans have a tendency not to talk to anyone, he said. But with many veterans committing suicide, Jack said he's learned that it's best not to keep his experiences bottled up inside. He said he has begun encouraging veterans to open up about their service to people, whether they be strangers, family, or battle buddies. Those conversations help remove a stigma that has been in place since the war itself, Jack said. We were called baby killers. We were spit on, he said. We were told not to wear our uniforms at airports. Since opening up to his family, Jack said he wrote a 2-page letter detailing his service in Vietnam. He sent that letter to his family so they would finally understand that chapter of his life. There were no gory details or anything, he said. It was more of how I felt. Since then, he's even opened up about his experiences to his grandchildren, with a granddaughter interviewing him for a school project. Jordan said his base in Vietnam was constantly in danger of attacks. On one night alone, the base lost more than 30 aircraft to mortar attacks. He said his tour was full of long hours and lots of stress. You lose all track of time, he said. Curry, who served in Vietnam with the Army from 1965 to 1966, and again in 1969, and Jordan, who served with the Air Force in Vietnam from 1968 to 1969, said they have had issues when it comes to opening up about their service. Curry said that when he came home from Vietnam the first time, he did not talk about the tour. He spent nearly a year in the jungle, outside the wire, Curry said. His second deployment was less dangerous, but it still involved nearly daily brushes with death. I got rocketed 2 or 3 times a week, day and night, Curry said. When he did start to open up, Curry said a common question from others was always, how many people did you kill? Jax and Jordan shook their hands at this. I've heard those dumb questions too, Jax said. Jax said it's not necessarily the combat, but thinking about the combat that caused him issues after the war. You watch friends die and think, thank God it isn't me, Jax said. A short time later, you feel that survivor's guilt. Multiply that by years, hours and hours every day, he said. I've run into people at Walmart who have never talked to anyone about Vietnam, Jack said. I've run into guys at church who won't talk to pastors or their family. Jordan called Curry his personal support system for Vietnam. He said the two have leaned on each other over the years since meeting in college. On Tuesday, they offered themselves up to others in the community along with several other veterans, some of who came armed with photos and documents chronicling their time in the service. At the museum, the veterans and civilians listened to retired Lieutenant Colonel Walt Brinker, who spent 2 combat tours in Vietnam. Brinker was nearly killed during his first tour and spoke of how he was injured, his recovery, and eventual return to Vietnam. He said he has dealt with post-traumatic stress by focusing on helping others. For Brinker, that means patrolling highways in search of stranded motorists. He has helped more than 2,000 in recent years. Being a habitual giver is the biggest antidote, he said. Brinker told veterans to find ways to give back by investing time with family, coaching, teaching Sunday school, or volunteering. I'm looking for people that are down and lifting them up, he said. There's 1,000 things you can do. The museum in the Cape Fear is also hosting a special exhibit during Heroes Homecoming. Hugh's crate is on display near the entrance to the museum. The exhibit is comprised of the personal and military effects of First Lieutenant Hugh Willem Wellens, a local soldier and Silver Star recipient who was killed in Vietnam in 1966. Lisa Greathouse, curator of education at the museum, said the crate had been virtually untouched for decades after it was brought home with Wellens' body. Most of its contents, including maps, magazines, and military documents, are now on display at the museum. The special exhibit will be on display through Sunday.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC-Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Marty Baldwin and
Robert Bean.
And we are proud to serve you today. And now I will read to you, the drugstore pain pills are as effective as opioids in ER patients. Well, I'm surprised to read that. So let's see how this can teach us something. This is from the Associated Press. Emergency rooms are where many patients are first introduced to powerful opioid painkillers. But what if doctors offered over-the-counter pills instead? A new study tested that approach on patients with broken bones and sprains and found pain relievers Tylenol and Motrin worked as well as opioids at reducing severe pain. The results challenge common ER practice for treating short-term severe pain and could prompt changes that would help prevent new patients from becoming addicted. The study has limitations. It only looked at short-term pain relief in the emergency room, and researchers didn't evaluate how patients managed their pain after leaving the hospital. But given the scope of the U.S. opioid epidemic, more than 2 million Americans are addicted to opioid painkillers or heroin. Experts say any dent in that problem could be meaningful. Results were published Tuesday in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Long-term opioid use often begins with a prescription painkiller for short-term pain, and use of these drugs in the ER has risen in recent years. Previous studies have shown opioids were prescribed in nearly 1/3 of ER visits, and about 1 out of 5 ER patients are sent home with opioid prescriptions. Preventing new patients from becoming addicted to opioids may have a greater effect on the opioid epidemic than providing out sustained treatment to patients already addicted, Dr. Demetrius Kiaku, an emergency medicine specialist at Northwestern University, wrote an accompanying editorial. The study involved 411 adults treated in 2 emergency rooms at Montefiore Medical Center in New York City. Their injuries included leg and arm fractures or sprains. All were given acetaminophen, the main ingredient in Tylenol, plus either ibuprofen or the main ingredient in Motrin, or one of the 3 opioids, oxycodone, hydrocodone, or codeine. They were given standard doses and were not told which drug combo they received. Patients rated their pain levels before taking the medicine and 2 hours later. On average, pain scores dropped from 9 on a 10-point scale to about 5, with a negligible difference between the 2 groups. Well.
National Guard to rename facility for fallen North Carolina soldier.
Take water.
The North Carolina National Guard will rename one of its facilities in Moore County in honor of a local fallen soldier. The Southern Pine Soldier Readiness Center at 510 Morganton Road will be rededicated as the Staff Sergeant Michael Voss Readiness Center during an 11 a.m. ceremony on Wednesday, according to the North Carolina National Guard. Major General Greg Lusk, the Adjutant General of North Carolina, and other state dignitaries will be on hand for the ceremony. Voss was a member of the Guard's 1st Battalion, 120th Infantry Regiment, 30th Heavy Brigade Combat Team during a 2004 deployment to Iraq. Voss, 35, was killed October 8, 2004, when his convoy was struck by an improvised explosive device near Tikrit, Iraq. The Carthage soldier had served in the Army since 1988, with more than 9 years on active duty and 7 years with the North Carolina National Guard. He was a veteran of Operations Desert Storm and Desert Shield, and had been awarded the Purple Heart after being wounded in Panama in 1989. In his civilian life, Voss worked for Caterpillar Incorporated in Sanford, helping design and plan an assembly line for small construction equipment. At his funeral, Voss was remembered as a man who loved to fish, hunt, and build things. But above all, family members said he had a caring heart and he loved to help people. According to the North Carolina National Guard, Voss was a recipient of numerous military awards, including 2 Purple Hearts, 4 Army Achievement Medals, 3 Army Commendation Medals, 3 Army Good Conduct Medals, the Humanitarian Service Medal, the Kuwait Liberation Medal, the Saudi Occupation Medal, the Southwest Asia Medal with 2 Bronze Stars, the Desert Storm Ribbon, the Overseas Ribbon, the Expert Infantryman Badge, the 2 Combat Infantryman Badges, and the Parachutist Badge with Combat Distinguishing Service. And in District 2, Williams edges out Culleton for open seat on City Council. Ron Williams defeated Dan Culleton on Tuesday in a close race for the District 2 Fayetteville City Council seat. Unofficial results show Williams with 1,466 votes to Culleton's 1,136 votes. Williams, a self-employed entrepreneur and builder, was born in Fayetteville and said he returned here from Virginia about 8 years ago. He credited hard work and care for the community as reasons for his victory. "I'm ready to go to work," said Williams, who had already spoken to Kurt Deviere, the councilman he will replace, about Deviere's work on a program called Pathways for Prosperity. The council seat opened up when Deviere decided to run for mayor. District 2 covers downtown and part of Paymount, Cedar Falls, Country Club Hills, Utah, Massey Hill, Savoy Heights, and the Tukey neighborhoods. Some of its neighborhoods are among the poorest in the city. Culleton, a Fayetteville chiropractor and chairman of the Fayetteville Planning Commission, said he ran the best race he could, given the demographics. Culleton, 47, said he would continue to work in the community and to raise his family. Williams, 48, said he decided to get into the race when his brother was struck by a vehicle while walking home. He said his priorities are homelessness, job creation, and economic development. He once worked as an economic development director in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay, here's Jensen, a picture of Kathy Jensen, Kathy Keith Jensen. Wins 3rd term serving North Fayetteville. Kathy Jensen was reelected Tuesday to the District 1 City Council seat, defeating Curtis L. Brown Sr. Unofficial results show 1,131 votes to 902 votes for Brown. Well, it's not a big difference. "I look forward to keeping District 1 moving forward and our city," Jensen said. Everybody says that, doesn't it? She said she'll continue to serve on the Parks and Recreation Bonds Committee, planning new splash pads, a skateboard park, and a senior center. Jensen, who spent much of her evening at home before going to a restaurant to meet her poll workers, said she also wants to expand the city's youth council, continue work on public-private partnerships, including the downtown area, that will become the new minor league baseball stadium. Brown, 60. That's strange. They tell his age, but they didn't tell her age. Uh-oh. Brown, 60, thanked his supporters and God. He is the president and CEO of GPAC, a logistics consulting company. "It's not over for Curtis Brown," he said. Brown is a newcomer to politics and head of the Greystone Farms Community Watch program. Oh, here it is. Jensen, 52, is a lifelong resident of Fayetteville's North Side. She owns an Affair to Remember bridal and formal wear and has been a council member since 2013. Okay.
Veteran Entrepreneur Program expanded. When Eric Brinkman traded his Army uniform for a new career as an entrepreneur, he relied on outside help. As Brinkman prepared to open the Morning Jump, a drive-through specialty coffee shop north of Fort Bragg and Spring Lake, he attended Boots to Business courses at Fayetteville State University. His wife went to a professional coffee school. But Brinkman said one organization, above all, helped make his dreams of being a business owner a reality. After 10 different banks refused to give him a loan, the Carolina Small Business Development Fund's Veteran Entrepreneurship Program took a chance on the small coffee shop. It wouldn't have happened without them, Brinkman said this week, nearly 3 years after he launched the Morning Jump at 106 South Bragg Boulevard in Spring Lake. On Tuesday, the Carolina Small Business Development Fund announced that through a partnership with J.P. Morgan Chase, it would be expanding its veterans program. The banking giant announced late Monday that it has committed more than $1 million to the fund for it to expand its program in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. The $1 million pledge is part of a $4.2 million initiative to help veteran-owned small businesses across the country, officials said. The Carolina Small Business Development Fund works to foster economic development in underserved communities. Its veteran entrepreneurship program provides 100% financing to veteran-owned businesses. According to officials, the program has provided over $8.2 million in loans to 110 veterans since the program's creation in 2013. Those loans have helped to create over 300 jobs. In North Carolina, veteran-owned businesses account for 8.2% of all employment and have a combined payroll of $4.7 billion, officials said. Veteran-owned small businesses have been a key part of the nation's economy. The funds from J.P. Morgan Chase will allow new opportunities for entrepreneurship development and increase economic expansion for veterans who have contributed so much for all of us, said Linwood V. Long, Sr., President and CEO of the Carolina Small Business Development Fund, in a release. We are excited about the opportunity to expand our program for veterans as we strive to inspire economic empowerment and business capacity to help veteran small business owners to build the businesses of their dreams. Brinkman Stream was born late in his Army career after he moved from the Pacific Northwest, where he served with the 1st Special Forces Group, to Fort Bragg, where he ended his 24-year Army career with the John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School. Up there are shops like ours everywhere, Brinkman said of Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington. You get accustomed to these mom-and-pop coffee shops. As he prepared to leave the military, Brinkman said he wanted to jump into what he viewed as a coffee-starved market, and in the process serve soldiers and airmen on their way to Fort Bragg each morning. We wanted to cater it to the military, he said. We thought the market could use it, and we thought we knew what it took to do that. Originally, Brinkman thought he could use his retirement savings to fund his business dreams. The morning job is a drive-through business with a small 600-square-foot building, but he quickly learned that the gourmet coffee business is pricey with expensive equipment. It's going to cost more than what we expected, he said. Brinkman said he couldn't find a bank that shared his vision. To him, the bank saw an old Special Forces soldier with experience in Iraq, Afghanistan, and throughout the Pacific, with no business experience. They were nervous about that, Brinkman said. Money was hard to get. Once he learned about the Carolina Small Business Development Fund, Brinkman sent them his business plan and an introductory letter. The organization reached back out to him almost immediately. It wasn't an easy process, he said. It was in-depth and complex. They were amazing. They really did help make dreams come true. Brinkman began working with the fund in 2013. He opened his business in December of 2014. We would not have gotten started without the Carolina Small Business Development Fund, he said. And the organization has continued to help, Brinkman said, providing advisors to help with business planning and to help steer the business toward success. There's a lot more expenses and a lot more unplanned things that come up, Brinkman said. It really helped us. They've gotten us to where we're at today. According to the Carolina Small Business Development Fund, 1 million service members will transition out of the military over the next 5 years. Nearly a quarter of those veterans will try to start a business, but fewer than 5% will succeed due to a lack of access to capital and networking. It is extremely important to help our veteran community access the capital they need to succeed, said Craig May, head of Chase Middle Market Banking in the Carolinas. Pleased to work with outstanding partners like the Carolina Small Business Development Fund, who serve the veteran business community and in turn help strengthen the communities in which we all live and work.
It would be nice to see an article in the paper about the successful veteran startups here in Fayetteville, because I know there are many veteran startups here. We'd love to read about the successful ones. A railroad company is responsible for a smooth crossing. Question: who's responsible for fixing and repairing the railroad crossing at Russell Street and Wilmington Road? Those tracks are in bad shape, and this is from EJ of Fayetteville. Answer: the railroad company is responsible for any improvements or upgrades to its tracks, and that includes the asphalt between tracks, North Carolina Department of Transportation spokesman Andrew Barksdale said. However, the Department of Transportation is responsible for the tie-in pavement on either side of the tracks. We try to work with the railroads to make the crossings as smooth as possible for the public, Barksdale said. The department was going to resurface East Russell Street between Gillespie Street to Eastern Boulevard in 2017, but the department wanted to give the city and the Fayetteville Public Works Commission time to finish utility work needed in the area. After those two entities repaved the road from the utility work, the department wanted to see how it settled to reveal any problems. That makes sense. He said the department is now planning to resurface the road in 2018. If you would like to contact Livewire, please call 486-3516.
Chicago Road Hotel closed after carbon monoxide gas leak. Carbon monoxide leak sent two people to Duke University Hospital and temporarily closed the Residence Inn by Marriott at 1468 Scarborough Road on Tuesday morning, the Fayetteville Fire Department said. The leak was discovered after two unidentified guests staying at the hotel located between Yadkin Road and Bragg Boulevard went to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center's emergency department, complaining they didn't feel well when they awoke, a release said. The guests were found to have elevated levels of carbon monoxide, and the medical personnel contacted Fayetteville's emergency communications, and the fire department was notified at 7:04 a.m. The two were sent to the medical facility in Durham that specializes in hyperbaric oxygen therapy for multiple purposes, including carbon monoxide poisoning, the Duke Hospital website said. Firefighters using handheld monitors tested the air inside the four-floor hotel and found elevated levels of carbon monoxide. The occupants were evacuated. Firefighters checked the 92 suites to ensure that all guests were out of the building, the release said. The number of guests was not available. The hotel management reported that the facility was fully booked, said Battalion Chief Michael Martin, a fire department spokesman. Working with the department's hazardous materials team, firefighters discovered the source of the leak to be a malfunction in the natural gas-powered heaters in a mechanical room on the first floor, the release said. Fans were used to ventilate the building, and when levels of the gas dropped, guests were allowed to retrieve their belongings. The hotel will be closed until the water heaters are repaired, and all rooms with or adjacent to a natural gas-fired application has a carbon monoxide alarm. The hotel will have to be inspected by fire marshals once the corrective measures are taken, Martin said. The hotel was closed Tuesday night, and it's unknown when it will reopen. Carbon monoxide is an odorless, colorless gas that is produced anytime a fossil fuel is burned in a furnace, vehicle, generator, grill, and other appliance, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, and can cause sudden illness or death. Symptoms of carbon monoxide exposure include headache, nausea, dizziness, or confusion. Unintentional carbon monoxide exposure accounts each year for 15,000 emergency room visits and 500 unintentional deaths, the website said.
Wow. The Pentagon has known of crime reporting lapses for 20 years. That's the headline. Washington, D.C. The Pentagon is known for at least 2 decades about failures to give military criminal history information to the FBI, including the type of information the Air Force did not report about the Texas church gunman who had assaulted his wife and stepson while an airman. The Air Force lapse in the Devin P. Kelly case, which is now under review by the Pentagon's Inspector General, made it possible for him to buy guns before his attack Sunday at a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. 26 people were killed, including multiple members of some families. About 20 other people were wounded. New details emerged, meanwhile, about his troubled Air Force career. In 2012, several months before his conviction in the domestic violence case, Kelly escaped from a civilian mental health center where he had been placed by the Air Force for treatment, according to Air Force spokeswoman Ann Stefanik. She confirmed a Houston TV station report that was based on El Paso, Texas. Police report. Stefanik said privacy laws prevented her from saying what Kelly was being treated for. KPRC-TV also reported that the police officers who detained Kelly at an El Paso bus terminal after his escape were told he previously had been caught sneaking firearms onto Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico, where he was stationed, and that he planned to carry out death threats against his military supervisors. Stefanik said she could not confirm those details. Mac Thornberry, the Texas Republican chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, said he was appalled that the Air Force was taken unsatisfied by its plans to investigate the matter. "I don't believe the Air Force should be left to self-police after such tragic consequences," he said, adding that he fears the failure to report domestic violence convictions may be more widespread. John Cornyn of Texas said he is working on legislation that would require swift reporting of military criminal history data. The requirement currently is based on an internal Pentagon rule that does not have the force of law. An FBI database known as the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which contains information for use in the background checks on prospective gun buyers, had only one Pentagon entry for domestic violence convictions as of December 31st, 2016. Most federal agencies had 0 entries in that category. An FBI status report on that database noted, however, that this apparent lack of participation by federal agencies could indicate that they submitted their information to other relevant databases. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis said Tuesday he has directed the Pentagon Inspector General to review circumstances of the Kelly case and define what the problem is. At its core, the problem is that military criminal investigative organizations have too frequently, for too long, failed to comply with the rules for reporting service members' criminal history data to the FBI. As recently as February 2015, the Pentagon Inspector General reported that hundreds of convicted offenders' fingerprints were not submitted to the FBI's criminal history database. The report found about a 30% failure rate for submitting fingerprints and criminal case outcomes. It did not determine the reasons for the lapses. In February this year, the Inspector General's office launched a new review to assess compliance with updated reporting requirements. A spokesman, Bruce Anderson, said that review is ongoing.
Dawkins defeats Tyson, returning to Council District 5. Johnny Dawkins is returning to the Fayetteville City Council. Dawkins, 58, a health insurance and benefits consultant who served on the council from 2003 to 2005, defeated Henry Tyson, 33, in Tuesday's election by approximately 400 votes, according to unofficial results. But all 13 precincts in District 5 reporting, Dawkins outperformed Tyson 2,242 votes to 1,836 votes. The hotly competitive race for the open seat ended up having the most total votes cast out of all of the 8 contested city council districts. "I want to thank the good Lord for giving me this opportunity," Dawkins said following the election. "I want to thank my family for allowing me to do it, and my friends, my supporters, and all the folks who voted for me." Dawkins, who is the son of the late longtime mayor J.L. Dawkins, said he was excited to once again serve Fayetteville. He said his focus would be on creating jobs, improving infrastructure, developing greenways, and ensuring the city has the finest public safety in all of North Carolina. Tyson, a real estate agent and broker, was a political newcomer. He and Dawkins were the top vote getters among 5 candidates in the October primary. The District 5 incumbent, Bobby Hurst, did not seek re-election.
Well, don't we all wish we had jobs and greenways and wonderful places to go? Don't we all wish that? Here's a meeting to discuss Eastover land use as planned. Cumberland County officials will meet with residents of the Eastover area November 16 to get feedback on the area's land use plan. Members of the county planning staff will be working with community residents to update the plan according to the information mailed to property owners in the area. Staff members want to know the residents' ideas, concerns, and visions of the future. The land use plan update will not change the current zoning or use of property in the area. The land use plan, which was put together for the Eastover area in 2000, provides overall goals and guidelines for development according to county records. The meeting will be at the Salem United Methodist Church on Middle Road. It is scheduled to begin at 7 p.m. Residents who want more information can call the County Planning Department at 678-7629 or 678-716. And where are we here? Oh, I see where we are. This is Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services, and when making charitable donations, please keep SENCRRS in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call 910-672-1600, or the toll-free number is 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts today are Marty Baldwin and
Robert Lee.
And we are proud to serve you today. And we shall go to the obituaries at this time, 11 o'clock.
Death notices. The following deaths have been reported. Upcoming editions of the Fayetteville Observer will contain complete obituary information. In Cumberland County, Julia Owens Ramsey, 89, of Charlotte, formerly of Fayetteville, Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service and Crematory of Fayetteville. Milton F. Pekarski, 73, of Fayetteville, Unity Funeral Services of Fayetteville. Kathleen Shepard, 60, of Fayetteville, Unity Funeral Services of Fayetteville. Deborah Faye Bordeaux, 59, of Fayetteville, Rogers and Breese Funeral Home. Katrine Kirk, 63, of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. Bessie Mae Whitted, 89, of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. Dorothy M. Brayboy, 71, of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. Laura L. Hill, 91, of Fayetteville, Wiseman Mortuary. In the Cape Fear region, Evelyn Morrison, 92, of Taylortown Municipality, Pinehurst, Simon Funeral Home, Southern Pines. Kathleen Shepard, 60, of Wilmington, Unity Funeral Services of Fayetteville. Diane Smith, 60, of Maxton, Boyle's Funeral Home of Red Springs. Jack Patterson, 96, of Raleigh, formerly of Roseboro, Butler Funeral Home of Stedman. And Perry Steed King, 69, of Clinton, Royal Hall Funeral Home. In Cumberland County, Jackie Cooper Hawley, 89, of Fayetteville, died Sunday, November 5th, 2017. A joint memorial service honoring Jackie and her sister Edith Pinky Cooper Kilby will be held at 3 p.m. on Sunday, November 19th, 2017, at Westminster Presbyterian Church in Fayetteville. A visitation will precede the service from 1:45 p.m. until 2:45 p.m. in the Church Fellowship Hall. A private burial will be held. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to Westminster Presbyterian Church in Fayetteville. Arrangements by Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Shirley Walters Land, 82, of Fayetteville, died Monday, November 6, 2017, at her residence. A private service will be held at a later date. Arrangements by Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Edith Pinky Cooper Kilby, 91, of Fayetteville, died Saturday, November 4th, 2017. A joint memorial service honoring Pinky and her sister Jackie Cooper Hawley will be held at 3 p.m. on Sunday, November 19th, 2017, at Westminster Presbyterian Church in Fayetteville. A visitation will precede the service from 1:45 p.m. until 2:45 p.m. in the Church Fellowship Hall. Private burial will be held, and in lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to Westminster Presbyterian Church in Fayetteville. Arrangements by Jernigan Warren Funeral Home. Clyde Eldon Grady Jr., 80, of Fayetteville, died Wednesday, November 1st, 2017. Graveside service will be held Thursday at 10 a.m. at Sand Hills State Veterans Cemetery. The burial will be at Sand Hills State Veterans Cemetery. Services are entrusted to Wiseman Mortuary. God in His infinite wisdom and divine love called Mary Bell Howard to her eternal home Sunday, November 5th. Graveside service will be held November 9th at the Northside Cemetery beginning at 12 noon. Professional services entrusted to Pay Funeral Home at 2013 B. Ramsey Street. Barbara McCormick, 66, of Fayetteville, died Wednesday, November 1st, 2017. Funeral will be held Friday at noon at Household of Faith World Outreach Center. The viewing will be at the funeral home Thursday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., and the burial will be at Northside Cemetery. Services entrusted to Herring Funeral Care and Cremations. Ralph Adams, 82 of Parkton, died Wednesday, November 1st, 2017. Funeral will be held Wednesday at 1 p.m. at Colvin Funeral Home Chapel. Visitation will be at Colvin Funeral Home Chapel Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The burial will be at Sand Hills State Veterans Cemetery. Services entrusted to Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Hank Lee Bowman Sr., 90 of Fayetteville, died Sunday, November 5th, 2017. A private celebration of life service will be held. Services entrusted to Rogers and Breeze Funeral Home. Now Marty will do region.
I shall. Okay. Here we have a region and elsewhere. Peggy Joyce Page Patterson from Manners, 84, died Monday. Funeral Thursday, 3 p.m., Holly Springs Baptist Church, Multipurpose Building in Broadway. Visitation, Church Multipurpose Building, Thursday, 2 p.m., 3 p.m., Burial Church Cemetery, O'Quinn Peoples Phillips Funeral Home, Lillington. Geraldine Hedgepeth Smith of Lumberton, 81, died Monday. Funeral Friday, 2 p.m., Floyd Memorial Chapel in Lumberton. Visitation, Floyd Mortuary, and Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., Burial Gardens of Faith Cemetery, and all funeral services by Floyd Mortuary of Lumberton. Let me see if this also is that. Richard A. Jones, Lumberton, 58, died Monday, November 6. And that's all it says. Cora Sue Nance of Cameron, 79, passed away at her home on Friday, November 3rd, while surrounded by her family. A funeral service is planned for 1 p.m. on Friday, November 10. At Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service, the family will receive friends from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. prior to the service. Burial will follow the service at Cumberland Memorial Gardens, and online condolences may be made. Services entrusted to Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service. Jerome George Dunning of Seven Lakes, 84, died Saturday, November 4. Funeral at Thursday, 2 p.m., Graveside Visitation, Bowles Funeral Home, Seven Lakes. Thursday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., Burial, Seven Lakes Cemetery. Larry Dale Mons of Benson, 68, died Sunday, November 5. Memorial Thursday noon, Cromartie Miller Funerals Home Chapel. Visitation, Cromartie Miller Funeral Home Chapel, Thursday, 11 a.m. until noon. Lawrence Timothy Munson of Cameron, 54, died Friday. Memorial Wednesday, 6 p.m., Cox Memorial Funeral Home Chapel. Visitation, Cox Memorial Funeral Home, Wednesday, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., Cox Memorial Funeral Home in Vass. Ezekiel Roseboro, Chadbourne, 61, died Thursday, November 2. Funeral Wednesday, 1 p.m., St. James AME Zion Church in Bladenboro. Viewing, S&L Funeral Home in Fair Bluff, Tuesday, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Burial, Sandhill Cemetery in Bladenboro, S&L Funeral Home in Fair Bluff. David Bryant Jr. of Broadway, 74, died Tuesday, October 31st. Funeral Thursday, 10:30 a.m., Wiseman Mortuary Chapel Viewing Funeral Home, Thursday, 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Burial, Sandhill State Veterans Cemetery, Wiseman Mortuary. Gary Donald Schrader, Fuquay Varina, 68, died Monday, November 6. A private family service will be held at a later date. O'Quinn Peoples Phillips Funeral Home of Lillington. And on Wednesdays, are you accustomed to having the Billy Graham article following the obituaries? By the way, yesterday, Billy Graham was 99. Was that mentioned yesterday? I wasn't here, and I don't know. Did you notice that this clock hasn't been changed? I think. Has it?
Yeah.
Oh, it has been. Okay. God knows every detail of our lives, and that's a good thing. And this is the Billy Graham offering for today. Question. I've tried to live a good life, but in the back of my mind, I wonder what God really thinks about me. Or is he too busy to even worry about us? Answer. Let me assure you that God is so great that he knows all about us and is concerned about every detail of our lives. Jesus said that not a single sparrow will fall to the ground outside your Father's care, and even the hairs of your head are numbered. Matthew. After all, if God was great enough to make even the smallest subatomic particle or the tiniest microscopic bacteria, why do you think he's too big to be concerned about us? He didn't create us and then forget all about us, not at all. One of the Bible's greatest truths is that God knows each one of us, and the reason is because he loves us. As the Bible says, nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account. Hebrews. Does this alarm you or make you feel uncomfortable? Yes, it probably does. And with good reason, for down inside we know that we have failed to measure up to God's standard. We have sinned, and no matter how hard we try, we can never erase the stain of sin from our lives. But God still loves us, and because he loves us, he has provided the way for us to be forgiven and cleansed. That way is Christ, who by his death and resurrection opened heaven's door for us. Invite him into your life today. God's promise is for you. Believe in the Lord Jesus and you will be saved. From Acts. You can call Billy Graham and wish him a happy birthday at 8772-GRAHAM. And of course he has a website which I've given to you many times, and to write to him is the Reverend Billy Graham at the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, number 1 Billy Graham Parkway, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28201.
Dear Abby, divorced mom-in-law's overruling dad on daughter's social life. Gene Phillips. Dear Abby, my ex-husband and I have been divorced for 3 years and share custody of our 10-year-old daughter who lives with me full-time. Our father lives out of state and sees her in the summer. Last year my daughter had an incident, and I'll show you mine, you show me yours kind of thing, with a friend at school, and my ex and I decided they should no longer hang out alone. A year has gone by, and because they're in the same social circle at school, my ex is refusing to allow her to go to any events this friend attends, birthdays, sleepovers, even though there is always supervision. It makes me sad to see her miss out, and I understand that the incident is normal for kids that age. What can I do? Since she does not live with him, can I overrule? I'll show you mine. Dear, I'll show you mine. I'm sorry your ex-husband doesn't understand that sexual curiosity in children is normal, because it appears he has overreacted. He cannot dictate the rules in his household. However, while your daughter is living with you, he cannot overrule your parenting decisions either. Dear Abby, I'm a 43-year-old woman who is trying to win back my high school sweetheart. He contacted me through Facebook 7 years ago, and we've been talking off and on ever since. I've never gotten over him, but he's had 2 bad past relationships and says he isn't ready for another. What can I do to let him know I haven't gotten over him since high school and that I'd love to try again? Our relationship ended because my parents thought I was too young to have a boyfriend. I was 15 and he was 17. He says he would love to try again one day, just not now. What are some things I could do to let him know, hey, I'm still here and I want a second chance? High school sweetheart in Florida. Dear sweetheart, he knows you're still here and want a second chance because he still isn't ready to give a romance with you another try. Face it, the status quo could last indefinitely. You devoted 7 years to trying to sway him. It's time for you to move on. How he reacts as you begin to disengage will let you know if you have made the right decision. Dear Abby, since the last presidential election, our oldest son has stopped communicating with us. He would text us, but his texts were so disrespectful and hurtful we had to block him from our phones. He's a grown man and we love him. What should we do? Disappointed parents. Dear parents, the last election has proved to be so divisive that it has ended friendships and caused rifts in some families. Blocking your son from your phone was a mistake. It would have been better to have just told him you would prefer not to discuss politics via text messages. Until both sides can start listening respectfully to each other, healing will not happen. Block your phone and let him know that he hurt your feelings, which is why you did it. Readers can write to Dear Abby at dearabby.com or P.O. Box 69440, Los Angeles, California 90069.
Public safety, Cumberland County arrests. William Hensley Clark, 55, 100 block of Rainbow Road in Red Springs, was charged Tuesday with 2 counts each of larceny from a construction site and possession of receiving stolen property from a construction site. Bail, $10,000. Carlos Rios, 25, of the 300 block of Hidden Pond Drive, was charged Monday with embezzlement and conspiracy, and bail was set at $1,000. I've noticed that before, that around here it's okay to steal from your employer. You to hardly get any, you don't go to jail apparently. Cedar Creek Road, 1900 block, reported at 6:34 p.m. Monday. Purse, wallet, driver's license, credit card, purse, makeup taken. And here is one that says the third person charged in starvation deaths of two puppies. A Fayetteville woman is the third to be charged in the starvation death of 2 puppies. Jennifer Peacock Thorne, 47, of Banner Oak Drive, turned herself in Tuesday, according to arrest documents in the Cumberland County Magistrate's office. Thorne is charged with 2 counts of killing an animal by starvation in the death of the puppies, which were restrained in a manner where they were unable to find their food. An arrest warrant said the age of the puppies and the manner in which they were restrained was not included in the arrest warrant. The date of the offense was listed on the warrant as July 12. Bail was set at $10,000. Anthony Jamal Winston Thorne, 24, of the same address, and Trina Peed, 40, or Peed, P-E-E-D, 41, 6800 block of Wood Springs Road in Fayetteville, are charged with identical? I think they mean identical offenses. It is not known how Jennifer Thorne and Anthony Thorne are related.
Horoscope by Stella Wilder. Born today, you have been endowed with a clear head, a keen eye, and ability to make the most out of a situation or circumstances that are still in the evolutionary phase or have only just become apparent to you or someone else. Scorpio. October 23rd through November 21st. You're likely to find out today that something you've been counting on for some time is only illusory. Get back to basics. Sagittarius, November 22nd through December 21st. You may find yourself perched uncomfortably between 2 unpleasant realities. Can you get yourself to safety before day's end? Capricorn, December 22nd through January 19th. An opportunity beckons, an old friend offers something you'd never expect, and evening brings you closer to your heart's desire. Aquarius, January 20th through February 18th. The professional arena proves less encouraging than usual today, but what you get from the domestic situation more than makes up for it. Pisces, February 19th through March 20th. Your moods may keep you from making the right decisions today, especially if you let them swing from one extreme to the next. Aries, March 21st through April 19th. An authority figure is no longer in the picture, and you'll finally realize that something quite important is entirely up to you. Taurus, April 20th through May 20th. The way you look at what is coming next inspires those behind you to follow in your footsteps, even though you've done nothing to emulate yet. Gemini, May 21st through June 20th. How you express yourself will prove quite important all day long. You want to be neither too formal nor too cavalier. Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd. You're further away from someone who really matters to you than you had ever anticipated. You can solve the problem in 2 easy steps. Leo, July 23rd through August 22nd. The resolution to a tricky domestic problem lies not with a third party, but with you and a loved one together. Virgo, August 23rd through September 22nd. You may find yourself trekking a tortuous path in order to get something into your possession. It doesn't really matter much. Libra, September 23rd through October 22nd. You will do fine work today even though no one is watching. You don't always need an audience. You put a problem to bed once and for all. Copyright 2017 United Feature Syndicate.
Birthdays today, after that wonderful rendition of horoscope, are Annie Bethay. Oh, sorry. Starts with that was yesterday, or a couple of days ago. Here we are on November 8. Diane Davis and Clarence Symes. Well, we wish you from our radio station here a very happy birthday, Diane and Clarence. Happy birthday to you. Ralph isn't here, so we will withhold the singing, which you will probably enjoy much more than if we attempted to sing it. Here's an article by Garrison Keller. So we could maybe think it'll be a little bit funny, and probably very true. I've been confused about politics ever since Republican states became red states, which to me, growing up in the area of Red China, suggested commissars and gulags and thought control, which of course Utah and Texas and Georgia do not have. You can believe in God in those states, same as in blue states. Blue makes me think of Robert Johnson in Muddy Waters, but that's another matter. So as I watch anarchist conservatives battling nostalgic progressives, it all seems unreal. Our young people burdened by college debt work 2 and 3 jobs to stay afloat thanks to dismally low wages as a tax plan rolls down the tracks that will richly reward the rich, a plan backed by the tycoon, Mr. McNasty, champion of the common man, as the young content themselves with Facebook and the fabulous narcissism it offers. Your own page, your followers keeping up on your daily doings, gazing at the hundreds of pictures you've taken at yourself, never mind that the prospects of you owning a home and having work that you love and are getting dimmer. I'm conservative. I feel that what is inherited, family, community, culture, and language, is more crucial than what is acquired. Tattoos, an Armani suit, a taste for artisan beers, a cat who loves you, and there are many conservatives on the left as on the right, maybe even more. I want my daughter's school bus driver to be conservative, obsessively checking his rearview mirrors and not resenting the rules of the road as an infringement of his liberties. I would like her English teacher to correct her grammar and usage rather than urging the kids to write about their upbringings and never mind if they misspell abysmal or horrendous. I could go on. My daughter dragged me to a school dance last week, a 50s dance, and it was illuminating as most things with teenagers are. She didn't care to dance with me because I am a postmodern dancer, uninhibited by rhythm. So I got to sit and watch teenagers in 2017 going wild to Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, Fats Domino, and it dawned on me that when rock and roll got all progressive and artistic and inward, something you listened to and tried to figure out what the lyrics meant, it lost the power to make people jump around and have a good time. My daughter was having a wild good time. The dead musicians were alive as could be, and youth danced to their tunes with no sense of nostalgia. I don't miss that music as much as I miss the card games I played long ago with my Republican in-laws. We disagreed about Nixon and trade unions, but we ignored that over games of gin rummy and 400 and hearts. The gentle small talk, the kidding, where did that go to? I think that's why people love cruise ships. They take you off the grid and recreate the slow, stately life of a small town like a floating lodge. You gather at the buffet or the bingo game, and a little small talk leads to conversation. Politics assiduously avoided. I miss the sight of people reading newspapers, holding the big broadsheet up and poring over the contents. Radio and TV are amusements. The big page of gray type is where you connect to the world. Through real journalism. That's where you find out we're heading toward an economy in which, thanks to Googleization, Facebook, and Amazoning, a great many people now gainfully employed will find themselves doing whatever they can, a scratch up for $7 an hour. I come from a family of 6 children raised by parents who absorbed the lessons of the Depression. Make do, hold on, tend the garden. And we became an engineer, a teacher, a writer, a lawyer, a historian, and a development director. We all made homes and raised children, enjoyed our lives and our work, and have arrived at old age just in time to benefit from remarkable medical advances. We're lucky. I flew to Des Moines Monday, and my airport shuttle driver told me she works 5 jobs: driving, child care, janitorial, food prep, and home health care. None of these offers health benefits. Her life is unpredictable from month to month. She is 31 and lives with her mother. I got the impression she had voted for McNasty. She surely had reason to be angry last November. But what happens to her now? I am feeling that having been born 75 years ago was the very best option. And Garrison Keller is funny. But that was true.
Politics, as they say, is a contact sport by Bill Kirby Jr. City residents likely will wake up Wednesday with something of a mayoral election hangover. After all, they've been inundated with campaign flyers, roadway posters, and media outlet reports since the municipal primary on October 10th narrowed the mayoral field from 4 to 2. Mayor Nat Robertson, seeking his 3rd term, and Mitch Colvin, the mayor pro tem, bidding to become the city's 2nd black mayor in history. I'm excited, Colvin, 44, would say after the primary, when he garnered 5,803 votes, 1,730 more than runner-up Robertson, with City Councilman Kirk Deviere 3rd with 2,770, and Quincidine Gribble with 241. But I don't want to take anything for granted, Colvin would add. Robertson was undaunted by the results and the gap. He had been down this political road in 2013 when Councilwoman Val Applewhite took the mayoral primary with 5,392 votes, while Robertson was 2nd with 3,802 and Deviere 3rd with 2,461. Robertson would defeat Applewhite by 259 votes in the general election. So no, he wasn't worried this time either. For us to have such a solid 2nd place finish with such an organic campaign, the 54-year-old mayor would say about cautious primary campaign spending, we're going to have a really good showing in November. Colvin would say after the euphoria from his supporters died down at the Cumberland County Department of Social Services venue for the primary returns, that the real campaign work was ahead, and quickly his candidacy would be buoyed by Deviere. I encourage my supporters and others to stand with Mitch and elect him as the next mayor of our city, Deviere would say, endorsing Colvin on October 12th. I stand ready to help him during this election season, but more importantly, once he becomes mayor. It was a political dagger for Robertson, already reeling from a mayor pro tem and a city councilman challenging his leadership as a 2-term mayor. And then came Governor Roy Cooper on October 25th in support of Colvin at a $150 per ticket fundraiser at the downtown Metropolitan Room. It's important, the Democratic governor would say, that we have leaders of character. And that's when the mayoral race took a radical turn for the ugly. Robin Hayes, chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party, immediately chastised Cooper for endorsing a candidate with not only a long record of criminal charges, but his current record of unethical business practices as noted by several actions taken by state regulators. Colvin's past was called into question, from poor decisions as a teenager that led to misdemeanor convictions, to sanctions from state regulators about how he operated his funeral home, to an eviction notice just last week about his crematory office for failure to timely pay rent and arrears, and then a political dagger from the Friends to elect Nat Robertson mayor, a mail-out about a 2003 domestic violence protective order obtained by Colvin's wife that would draw her ire in a mayoral political campaign, Colvin supporters contend, that went too far. An act of desperation, Colvin would say, by a mayor in fear of losing the city gavel. Not so, the mayor would say, not so. Just the facts, Mr. Colvin, just the facts. Operatives with Colvin's campaign fired back, pointing to a 2008 lawsuit involving the mayor over rent owned for office space. Politics, says George Brees, a longtime politico in state and local politics, is a contact sport. Tuesday, city residents spoke. You're forgiven if you wake up this morning with a mayoral campaign hangover, because in the words of the politically insightful Mr. Brees, this mayor's race has made some other politicians look like choir boys. An ibuprofen, please. It's been a mayoral race to remember. Bill Curvey Jr. can be reached at bcurvey@fayobserver.com or by calling 486-3571.
Very good. Here's an opinion. Let's see. Oops, that's terribly long. Okay. What to watch on Trump's Asia trip by Trudy Rubin. Call it the All North Korea Challenge trip. President Trump embarked Sunday on a 13-day visit to Asia that will be the longest journey by any U.S. president since '91, when George H.W. Bush ended a lengthy Asia tour by vomiting at a state dinner in Tokyo and falling into the Japanese Prime Minister's lap. Well, goodness, do you think that's, 25, in excess of 25 years ago, but you bring it up? Trump aides are reportedly working hard to prevent any such disasters, including unscripted comments and tweets. There are going to be a lot of white knuckles on this trip, said Council on Foreign Relations Korea expert Scott Snyder. They want him to stay on script. But the most urgent agenda item as Trump swings through Japan, South Korea, China, and Southeast Asia will be ratcheting up the pressure on North Korea to end its nuclear program. The president recognizes that we're running out of time and will ask all nations to do more. Yet North Korea is the subject that inspires the most reckless presidential rhetoric and tweets, which some fear could spark an unintended conflict. Well, I'm not sure it would be unintended. So the most riveting feature of the Trump trip will be whether the president chooses to goad North Korean leader Kim Jong-un or vice versa while he is traveling. Trump and Kim's ongoing game of North Korea roulette could get even hotter. Here are the signs to watch for as Trump ventures abroad. 1. Take note of the pomp and ceremony. There will be lots of it as leaders try to feed Trump's ego and distract from disagreements. In Japan, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will try to cement his relationship with Trump and sideline dissent over trade on the golf links. There will be a formal meeting with the Japanese emperor, an adulation for Ivanka, but Japanese journalists are not shy and may ask pesky questions about U.S. willingness to attack North Korea. Well, I'd be a little jumpy if I lived in Japan. In Beijing, says the Council on Foreign Relations, China expert Elizabeth Economy. Okay, Trump will get the full red carpet treatment to distract attention from trade issues. The Chinese will announce some deals, but the big issues will not be resolved. She says China will keep Trump's visit tightly controlled in an effort to hide tensions over whether China is doing enough to curb North Korea. 2. Observe the dynamics between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Trump has made clear that he views his China trip purely as a confab between two strongmen and has bragged about his close relationship with Xi. His main focus will be on North Korea, but Trump's affection for Xi is largely one-sided, says Economy. Moreover, their relative standing couldn't be more different. Trump comes into their meetings weakened by low ratings and the Russian investigation, while Xi is just coming off a party Congress where his vast powers were strengthened. Meantime, Trump's withdrawal from multilateral trade deals and his hot-headed rhetoric on North Korea have left regional leaders wondering whether he's capable of handling Beijing or Pyongyang. Those leaders will be avidly assessing how Trump and Xi match up. 3. Watch whether Trump gets any commitments from Xi to tighten banking and oil sanctions on North Korea. To the administration's credit, the Chinese have now imposed more serious sanctions than ever before on North Korean businesses, workers, banking excess, coal exports, oil supplies. But there is an ongoing debate inside China about whether even tighter sanctions should be applied. But none of the experts with whom I spoke believe Xi would endorse additional sanction during Trump's trip. China will take the position that the ball is in the U.S. court, and it is time for Washington to try negotiations with Pyongyang, says the Atlantic Council's Alexander Verschlow, a former U.S. ambassador to NATO. However, Washington has unrealistic preconditions for talks, as does Pyongyang. Moreover, King seems committed to perfecting his intercontinental ballistic missile before he would be willing to consider bargaining. They want a credible ICBM and are in no rush to talk, says Leland Miller, a China expert at the Atlantic Council. This leaves Washington and Pyongyang in an unavoidable cycle of escalation unless China steps in. 4. So, watch to see whether a miracle happens. Trump and Xi come up with a joint policy that might lead to renewed nuclear talks with Pyongyang. Here's where really skilled diplomacy might make a difference. If Trump believed in it or had a Secretary of State empowered to do the job, that would require the president to make credible threats to China in private, like imposing secondary sanctions on Chinese banks while refraining from incendiary tweets. And it would require minimal agreement with Beijing about the purpose of sanctions. Presumably they are meant to drive Kim to the bargaining table, but what would be the goal of negotiations? At this point, North Korea is already a nuclear power, and limitation of its nuclear program might be the only realistic endgame. Would Washington accept that? A snowball in hell probably has better prospects than a serious Trump effort at diplomacy, and he may leave empty-handed. The likely alternative is a return to verbal escalation between Kim and Trump. That may lead to North Carolina testing more missiles or even an atmospheric nuclear test. Therefore, the main thing to watch for on Trump's trip may be whether it can be completed without another round of North Korea roulette. Well, I kind of feel sorry for Mr. Trump for the position he's been put in. But that's the rules of this awful game. What have you got over there, Robert?
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. Request your support to continue our services. When making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our address is P.O. Box 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at area code 910-672-1600 or toll free at 1-844-709-5656. The radio hosts are
Marty Baldwin
and Robert Dean, and we are proud to serve you today.
Here's an article that says the byline is Wilkie closer to Pentagon job. Therefore, I guess if you watch news on television, you will be hearing about a man whose name is Robert Wilkie. He is unfamiliar to me, but I expect I'll be hearing about it. The Senate Armed Services Committee has given its stamp of approval to a Fayetteville native slated to become one of the top leaders in the Department of Defense. Robert Wilkie's nomination to be Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness will now be taken up by the full Senate, according to Senator Tom Tillis. Tillis, who introduced Wilkie during the latter's nomination hearing last week, has repeatedly heaped praise on Wilkie, who served as Tillis' senior advisor since 2015. There is no person more qualified for the position of Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness and cares so deeply about improving the well-being of our men and women in uniform and their families, Tillis said in a statement released Tuesday. I applaud the Senate Armed Services Committee for quickly advancing Robert's nomination so he can be considered by the full Senate, and I hope he will be voted on soon so he can begin working on behalf of our service members. Wilkie has a long history of public service. He grew up outside Fort Bragg as the son of an Army officer and still calls Fayetteville home. Last week, he was one of the several potential civilian military leaders quizzed during a nomination hearing that also included nominees for Army Secretary, Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, and Assistant Secretary of Defense for Nuclear, Chemical, and Biological Defense. During the hearing, Wilkie said he was uniquely suited for the position, having experienced military life as a dependent, the son of a gravely wounded combat soldier, an officer with a family in the military healthcare system, and a senior leader in the White House and Pentagon. If confirmed, Wilkie would gain oversight over much of the U.S.'s military operations. The Department of Defense spends over half of its more than $600 billion budget each year on personnel costs, including training, health care, and compensation. Wilkie was nominated to be Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness by President Donald Trump in July. In addition to being senior advisor to Tillis for the past 2 years, he also served in the Pentagon under Defense Secretaries Donald Rumsfeld and Bob Gates, and as senior secretary of the National Security Council under Condoleezza Rice during the George W. Bush administration. Wilkie also worked as counsel for the late Senator Jesse Helms and as counsel and advisor for former Senate Majority Leader Trent Lott. He previously served in the Navy Reserve and is an intelligence officer in the Air Force Reserve assigned to Joint Special Operations Command at Fort Bragg. He is a graduate of Wake Forest University, Loyola University College of Law, Georgetown University Law Center, and the U.S. Army War College. Wow, I say. Wilkie attended Reed Ross High School, is married to the former Julia Bullard, whose family owned and operated the Haymount Market for 40 years. The couple have 2 children, Adam and Megan. Before working with Tillis, Wilkie worked in the private sector for 5 years, serving as Vice President for Strategic Initiatives and Defense Integration for CH2M Hill. In that role, he worked on engineering projects for the London Olympics and the expansion of the Panama Canal.
Trump abruptly shifts tone in Korea. Softening his aggressive rhetoric, at least for the moment, President Donald Trump stood on South Korean soil Tuesday and urged North Korea to come to the negotiating table. It's time, he said, for the North to make a deal to rein in its nuclear weapons program. It was a striking shift in tone for the president, who for months had issued increasingly dire threats to answer any hostile North Korean action with fire and fury. On Tuesday, his first day on the Korean peninsula as president, Trump said he'd seen a lot of progress in dealing with Pyongyang, though he stopped short of saying whether he wanted direct diplomatic talks. It makes sense for North Korea to come to the table and make a deal that is good for the people of North Korea and for the world, Trump said at a news conference with South Korean President Moon Jae-in. I do see certain movement. Trump was winding down his visit to Seoul on Wednesday with an address to South Korea's National Assembly, where he was expected to outline his view of dangers posed by North Korea's nuclear weapons program. The next stop on his 5-nation Asian tour, Beijing, where he will press China to constrict the North's economic lifeblood. Ever the showman, Trump teased that he had a surprise in store for Wednesday, saying at a Tuesday evening banquet that he had an exciting day planned, for many reasons that people will find out. He did not elaborate. Overall, the president sounded an optimistic note on disagreements with the North, saying confidently, if vaguely, ultimately, it'll all work out. Whether the shift in rhetoric signaled a change in policy or a diplomatic strategy remained uncertain. Mark Fitzpatrick, executive director in Washington for the International Institute for Strategic Studies, said it could simply be Trump projecting what he most recently heard from Moon and Japan's Shinzo Abe. I expect he heard from both Prime Minister Abe and President Moon the need to give diplomacy a chance, Fitzpatrick said. Of course, it's not the first time he has talked about engaging with North Korea. The issue has been one of timing. Now is a good time during a pause in missile testing. North Korea has fired off more than a dozen missiles this year, but none in nearly 2 months. But analysts caution against reading too much into the pause. There's no public sign of any diplomatic progress between Washington and Pyongyang. U.S. officials say the back channel between the State Department and the North Korean mission at the United Nations in New York remains intact, but contacts have not been substantive other than achieving the release of American college student Otto Warmbier in June. He died days after his repatriation to the U.S. Still, Trump's conciliatory comments would be welcome in South Korea, where both the government and the wider population have been unnerved by the president's threats against the North. Trump did note the United States military options, mentioning that 3 aircraft carrier groups and a nuclear submarine had been deployed to the region. But he said, "We hope to God we never have to use the arsenal." And he accused North Korea's Kim Jong-un of threatening millions and millions of lives so needlessly.
Gen X discovered in Camp Dixie Lake. Substance also detected in Cumberland County Lake near Camorra's plant. Elevated levels of a potentially harmful chemical have been found in the lake at a camp and in another lake near Bladen County plant. Gen X, which used it to make nonstick coatings on cookware and for other purposes, was detected in the lake at Camp Dixie and in Marshwood Lake near the Chemours facility. Studies have linked the compound to testicular, pancreatic, and liver cancer in animals, but it is not known whether those effects are the same in humans. Tests on waters in the Camp Dixie Lake, which is about 2 miles from the plant, showed concentrations of Gen X 620 parts per billion, according to a statement released by the Department of Environmental Quality. Results from the surface of the Marshwood Lake, about a mile from the plant in Cumberland County, showed concentrations of Gen X at 915, it would be 915 parts per trillion. The Camp Dixie Lake is south of the Chemours plant and the Marshwood Lake is north. Both lakes are spring-fed, according to state officials. The levels of Gen X in both lakes are above the state's provisional health goal of 140 parts per trillion for drinking, but the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say little exposure to substances like Gen X occur during swimming, bathing, or showering. What about eating fish from those lakes? The statement said, based on the center's guidance, current knowledge of Gen X and the estimated amount of the compound a swimmer would accidentally swallow. A State Department of Health and Human Services officials concluded that exposure from the lakes is not expected to be harmful. Bonnie Lefever's Camp Dixie's executive director said in a statement that camp officials have been monitoring the Gen X issue. He said the camp's water is supplied by a well that tests showed had less than 10% of the state's provisional health goal for the compound. The camp sought information on the lake because many campers and guests enjoy recreational activities. Lefever said, since minimal exposure to Gen X occurs during swimming, campers and guests will continue to use the lake. We remain committed to the health and safety of every camper or guest who sets foot on our property. To that end, we will continue to monitor this situation in the coming months, Lefever said. State officials also tested well water at Hall Park baseball field. It showed the concentration of Gen X, 53.6 parts per trillion, which is below the goal. The well is not being used for drinking water, but may continue to be used for irrigation, according to state officials. The detection of Gen X in the lakes and the well at the baseball park are the latest discoveries of the substance around the Chemours plant, which is off North Carolina 87 near the Cumberland County line. Last year, researchers found Gen X in the Cape Fear River downstream from the plant. No fish down there. Elevated levels of the compound have been detected in 50 private wells near the facility. Levels of Gen X below the provisional health goal has been discovered in 43 other private wells, 2 municipal wells, and the well that provides water for Grays Creek Elementary School. The 2 lakes that began this article are called Camp Dixie and in Marshwood Lake near the Chemours facility. Camp Dixie and Marshwood Lake. And I guess I knew about that the well that provides water for Grays Creek Elementary School. We need to follow this closely, listeners.
And the grocery ads for Wednesday, save a lot. Price is good Wednesday, November 8th through Tuesday, November 14th. Shank portion ham, 99 cents a pound. Ham steaks, $2.49 a pound. Fresh boneless beef chuck roast, $2.99 a pound. Fresh red or green seedless grapes, 99 cents a pound. Fresh whole pineapple, 99 cents each. Wildwood cut sweet potatoes, 15-ounce can, 89 cents. Tipton Grove cranberry sauce, 14-ounce can, assorted varieties, 99 cents each. Jimmy Dean premium pork sausage, 16-ounce, regular or sage, $2.99. So Cheesy shells and cheddar or deluxe mac and cheese, 12 to 14-ounce boxes, $1.29 each. Wildwood chopped spinach, 10-ounce, so frozen, 99 cents each. Portman's salad dressing, 30-ounce container, $1.99. Morning Delight Jumbo Biscuits, 16-ounce can, assorted varieties, $1.29 each. Potatoes on the side, 4.7-ounce box, scalloped or au gratin, 79 cents each. Wildwood canned corn or green beans, 14.5 to 15.25-ounce cans, assorted varieties, 49 cents each. 13-ounce box of potatoes on the side, instant mashed potatoes, $1.29 each. Coburn Farms home churned sweet cream butter, 16-ounce salted or unsalted, $2.99 each. Wildwood French fried onions, a 6-ounce can, $1.99 each. Save-A-Lot soda, 2-liter bottle, 79 cents each. Grissom's Mill brown and serve rolls, 12-ounce package, 99 cents. Wildwood vegetables, 16-ounce, assorted varieties, sold frozen, 99 cents each. Libby's pineapple, a 20-ounce can, assorted varieties, $1.29 each. Mini carrots, 1-pound bag, 99 cents. Simmons boneless chicken wings, 25.5-ounce, assorted varieties, $4.99. Portside cooked jumbo shrimp, 12 ounces, 26 to 30 count, $6.99 each. Portman's cocktail sauce, 12-ounce jar, $1.29. J. Higgs buttery rounds, 13.7-ounce salted or unsalted tops, $1.59 each. Coburn Farms chunk cheese, 8 ounces, assorted varieties, $1.79. J. Higgs wheat crackers, 9.1-ounce box, $1.49. So Cheesy Melt, 32-ounce original, $4.99. Montilla's meatballs, 28 ounces, homestyle or Italian, $3.99 each. Ginger Evans ready-to-bake deep dish pie crust, 2-pack, 12 ounces, sold frozen, $1.99. Ginger Evans pie filling, 21-ounce can, apple or cherry, $1.75 each. Ginger Evans all-purpose flour, 5-pound bag, $1.49. Ginger Evans marshmallows, 10-ounce, big or mini, 79 cents each. Coburn Farms aerosol creamy whipped topping, 6.5-ounce container, $1.49. Coburn Farms sweetened condensed milk, 14-ounce can, $1.49. Ginger Evans chocolate chips, 11.5 to 12-ounce bags, assorted varieties, $1.79. Ginger Evans brown or powdered sugar, 32-ounce bag, $1.49. Coburn Farms heavy whipping cream, 16-ounce container, $1.99. Coburn Farms evaporated milk, 12-ounce can, 69 cents. Coburn Farms creamy whipped topping, 8-ounce container, 79 cents. Crisco vegetable or canola oil, 48 ounces, $2.69. Domino or C&H pure cane sugar, 4-pound bag, selection varies by store, $1.99 each. Campbell's cream soup, 10.5-ounce can, mushroom or chicken, 99 cents each. Blue Bonnet spread, 45-ounce container, $2.79. Pepsi products, 6 packs, 16.9-ounce bottles, assorted varieties, $3.49 each. Swanson broth, 32-ounce, assorted varieties, $1.79 each. Hormel snack trays, 14 ounces, assorted varieties, $5.49 each. Hellman's real mayonnaise, 30-ounce jar, $2.99. Kraft stovetop stuffing mix, $1.49 each. Coburn Farms cream cheese, 16 ounces, $1.99 each. And the 2-day sale at Save-A-Lot, Friday and Saturday only, November 10th and 11th. Fresh bone-in split chicken breast family pack, 99 cents a pound. Portman's dressing, 16-ounce bottles, assorted varieties, 99 cents each. And fresh iceberg lettuce, 89 cents each. And that's your sale at Save-A-Lot.
Okay, I do want to get this one thing happening before I read the Charlie C's bargains for the day. It's an annual photography show at Cliffdale Regional Library. So Cliffdale Regional Library will host its annual photography show Saturday, 10 to 2 p.m. Local photographers will display and sell their images, often striking and beautifully depicted images of scenery, people, and animals. All of the photos on display are for sale, and part of the proceeds from the sales goes to support the Friends of the Library organization. If you enjoy photography and you would like to join others who share the same interest, then the Cliffdale Shutterbugs is for you. They meet at the Regional Library, and all photobugs are welcome. But if you'd like to learn more about photography, you can search online and hook up with various people. I'm reading this to you so that if you know someone who is a photography buff, they should go to this Cliffdale on Cliffdale Road, should go to the Saturday show from 10 to 2 p.m. and meet some like-minded photography buffs. Here is Charlie C's wonderful sales. Fresh ground beef, $1.98 per pound. A grade A turkey, 36 cents a pound if you buy $35 worth of stuff. Now that's not too difficult these days. You go buy $35 worth of things you use every day, plus a few for the Thanksgiving feast, and then you may buy only one, it's limited, a turkey for 36 cents a pound. Goodness sakes. Then there's crisp and sweet Honeycrisp apples, $1.29 a pound. Russet potatoes, $2.39 for 10-pound bag. Libby's vegetables, 2 for $1. Oh, that's a good buy. Deluxe cheddar shells. IGA macaroni and cheese, 89 cents. Half a cake, what kind? It looks like it's an Oreo cake. Anyway, you can get half a cake for $5.99 each, or a whole 4-layer Oreo cake for $8.99. And then there's a family pack T-bone steaks, $4.88, and a family pack from Charlie C's Angus T-bone steak at $5.98 per pound. Boneless chicken breast, $1.98 per pound. Fresh pork whole Boston butt, $1.18, $1.18 a pound. Turkey Hill ice cream, 2 for $5. I guess that's good. Coca-Cola products, 5 for $10. Coffee, Folgers Country Roast Coffee, $5.49. Old Orchard Juice, 2 for $3 for 64-ounce selected choices. Another Folgers coffee is $7.50, and IGA instant coffee is $5 for $5. Cheez-It snacks, 2 for $6. Almond bark branch for you cooks, $2.88. For the cooks, Keebler graham crust, $1.89, and IGA graham cracker pie crust be 88 cents. Here's IGA sugar for $1.48, and some IGA flake coconut, 2 for $3, and evaporated milk, 88 cents. Jello, oh, here's a real good sale. Jello gelatin, 10 for $10. Remember when that just cost pennies. Okay, Jif peanut butter, 2 for $5. IGA potato chips, $1.78. Mushroom pieces and stems, 75 cents. So that's pretty good. 2 for $5. Star-kissed tuna, 12 ounces. And also the Jello pudding is 10 for $10. Squeezed mustard, 39 cents. IGA mayonnaise, $1.99. Grape jelly, $1.89. 12-ounce jar turkey, chicken, or beef gravy, 5 for $5. And a spaghetti sauce mix, 3 for $1. That's good. Whoopsie. You have something over there you need to read? Okay, the cake pans, $1 for handy foil cake pans, and compartment plates, $2.25. Iced tea, I guess, Morning Fresh Farms tea, $1.88, and 2 for $5. A Red Diamond tea, 2 for $5. Selected ice cream by Eddie's, Edie's, whatever, 2 for $6. IGA vegetables, 5 for $5. That's good. Have to take a look at that. And then there's the fresh produce. yellow onions, zesty limes, green asparagus, romaine lettuce. And the bakery gives you strawberry shortcake, Kaiser rolls, coleslaw, homemade pimento cheese, and the Carolina honey turkey breast. And next we have, oh goodness, Butterball fresh seasoned turkey burgers, 2 for £1. You can get 2 for $7. Butterball lean ground turkey, 2 for $6. Butterball fresh turkey bratwurst, 2 for $7. And snow crab clusters, $9.98. Tilapia fillets, $9.98. That's for 4 pounds. The crab is for 1 pound. Pork shoulder blade steaks, $1.48 a pound. And on the back we have Beefmaster, Curtis Beefmaster Franks, 2 for $8. Original Red Franks, 2 for $4. And I think we will switch to our sign-off.
Okay, this concludes our reading of the Fayetteville Observer. Your radio hosts have been
Marty Baldwin
and Robert Bean. For our radio listeners who will now join the Raleigh Network for additional programming, thank you for tuning us in. We've enjoyed being with you. Have a wonderful day.